Good morning. I'm Deanna. It's so great to be here with you today. I want to just jump right in. Quick question to kick things off. Who here has ever thought or said something like, I wish there were more hours in the day? Give me a me in the chat if that is you. I want to see if we are in the right place today. Great. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. Love it. Thank you, Maggie, Millie, Whitney, Ingrid, Lindsay, Marjorie. Yes. Okay. So I see you. You are in the right place because today we're going to talk about how to get those hours back, not working harder, but by finally getting the right kind of help without wasting time, without losing control, and without breaking the bank. So if you have ever said, it's faster if I just do it myself, or I'll get it done right. No one else can do it as well as I can do it. I can't afford to hire help right now. Or my favorite, I wouldn't even know what to delegate to them. Most of us have said or thought one of these, probably more than once. If that's you, good news. You are in exactly the right place today, because by the end of this session, you're going to have a clear path to finally get the help you need without all the drama you might be imagining. Now, we are going to focus specifically on getting a virtual assistant today. However, my promise to you is so much of this, I'm going to say like 85 to 95%, applies to any type of hiring. So if a virtual assistant, or if you're even like, I don't even know what that is, Deanna, that's okay. Just think about how can what Deanna is sharing apply to my situation? Because here's the thing, folks, hiring is hiring. I don't care if you're hiring someone to scrub the toilet, if you're hiring someone to work with your financials, if you're hiring someone to develop a computer program. Smart hiring and hiring for the right talent and skill works. The system works regardless of the position. All right. So here's the hard truth, friends. Doing it all yourself does not make you a superhero. It makes you exhausted. When you are trying to wear every hat, you end up burnt out. You are the bottleneck and your growth is stalled. And I know some of you are thinking right now, if I could only just clone myself in an ethical, legal, and moral way, every problem would be solved. But the real fix isn't cloning. It's about getting the right support. Because there are things in your business that maybe you don't enjoy doing or you're not good at. I'll be real honest, I don't love the financial part. Facts and figures, numbers, spreadsheets, I do them, but it's not something I really enjoy. It doesn't light me up. It doesn't fill up my batteries. So I have someone on my team that does a lot of that for me. I'm the final decision maker. I sign all the checks. Well, I don't really use checks, but figuratively. But I've found someone who enjoys that work and who's good at it. And frankly, I can pay her a whole lot less than what my time is worth. So here's the big idea I want you to remember from today. This is a writer downer. Pardon me. Hiring a virtual assistant does not cost you. It actually frees you up to earn more. Now, if you're not a solo entrepreneur and earning more isn't your main goal, then it frees you up to do more, to accomplish more, because there's some things that only you can do in your role that no one else in the organization or business can. So drop a yes in the chat if that hits home for you. And Michael said, yes, something I learned was that I needed to hire to my weakness, not duplicate myself. Exactly. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Terry. By the way, folks, the more you put in, the more you participate, the more you're going to get out. I know how easy it is to have your email open and have a YouTube video going, and you're on Facebook or LinkedIn as well. Shut all that stuff down. Give yourself the gift of focus for once today and just be here with me like I'm being here with you. Thank you. All right. So let me just share a little bit about me. When I first started my business 17 years ago, that was full time in my business. I've actually had businesses for a lot longer than that, but I was working full time for somebody else at the same time. When I first started my business, I honestly didn't think hiring was even an option. I was working from home. Money was real tight. I didn't have a lot of clients. I didn't have a lot of work coming in. In my head, hiring was something real companies did, companies with big offices, with big budgets, with big marketing campaigns. So I just kept saying to myself, I'll do it myself. I'll save money this way. I'll find a way to systemize it. And hey, that worked for a little bit. Some things still need a human touch and human eyes. So here's what happened. I was always busy, but I never really felt like I was moving forward. I was working 10, 12, maybe more hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. Then one day I sat down and I made a plan. I looked at what I was really spending my time on and what I could be doing instead if I had some help. And that's when I realized not hiring wasn't saving me money. It was actually costing me opportunities. And those were opportunities that I could turn into clients and money. And the more I held back from getting help, the more I was actually holding my business back. And that was the turning point. And once I figured out the right way to start small and smart, everything shifted. Now, since then, I have hired and managed over 1,000 employees, contractors, freelancers, interns, and volunteers across my for-profit and my nonprofit businesses. So to say that I've seen it all when it comes to hiring, managing, firing, and everything in between, so far I think I have. Of course, I'm always willing to be proven wrong, but between my own experience and the experience of my clients all over the world, I have seen a lot. So we're going to talk about 5 false beliefs that we're going to just bust right out of the water today. This is really what helps keeps people from hiring help. And I want you to look at this list and I want you to type in the chat which one of these beliefs has stopped you. I can't afford a virtual assistant, or I can't afford help, whatever kind of help you're thinking you need. It's faster if I do it myself. I don't have time to train someone, or it's too much of a hassle to train someone. If I hand things off, I'll lose control or the quality won't be good. I've tried it before and it didn't work. I'll give you a second to pop those in. I mean, be honest, how many of you see yourself in that list in any one of those? Okay. Seeing some 1s, some 4s, some all of them, 2s, 3s. Okay. So looks like a lot of them. Okay. Now here's the thing, friends. And I say this with all the love in my heart. These are not facts. These are beliefs. And today we're going to bust every single one of them. So now that we've named the roadblocks, let's talk about the way forward. Most people think hiring has to be complicated, long job ads, endless interviews, months of training, but it does not have to be that way. I have created something called the Smart Start Method. It's the exact 5-step system I use myself and that I teach my clients on how to hire the right virtual assistant without the stress, without the waste, in as little as 3 weeks. It actually could be faster, but I feel like 3 weeks is a good expectation to set. So I'm going to briefly go over the steps and then we're going to dig into each one. First, clarify your vision. 2, define the role. 3, attract the right candidates. 4, evaluate for fit. And 5, choose your new virtual assistant. Simple, clear, repeatable. That's what makes a good system. And in just a moment, I'm going to walk you through each of those steps so you can see exactly how it works. But before we do, I'm really curious. Do you already have a sense of which one of those 5 steps is lacking or has been non-existent or not very strong in your own process if you've tried this before? Or if you were going to go for it today, Where do you think you might struggle? Pop that number in the chat for me. Maggie says 3. Thank you, Maggie. Monica says 2. 1 and 2 says Karen. 3 and 5, Latoya. Okay, great. Good. Okay. I love it. This is very helpful, by the way. The more you participate, the more I can give you. So be here with me. All right, let's jump in. Got a lot to cover in little time. Step 1 is all about clarity. Before you can hire anyone without wasting your time and money, you have got to know what is draining your time. What is your time actually worth? And I'm not talking about what you bill your clients per hour if you bill your clients that way. What is your time worth to your business? If you were going to hire someone to do your job, what is the value of that? And what are the 3 to 5 things you could hand off first? So let's do this right now. I want you to take a second and I want you to think of one task you don't like doing, maybe you hate doing, you're not very good at, or that just eats up way too much of your time. Pop that into the chat for me. And remember, if you have a question, please put it into the Q&A box so that we can make sure to address those quickly and efficiently throughout our time together today. All right, Terry says cold calling. Soul says reports. Managing orders says Carol. Good. What else? Social media, yes. Traveling, expenses, receipts, preparing small estimates and reports. Paperwork, yes. Social media, research. You see, we're seeing a trend here. Very few of you said the client. Nobody said the client work. Nobody said the thing that you actually got into business to do, right? I always find that very interesting. Okay. Now here's the aha. Until you know what's costing you time and energy, you will always feel like hiring is too expensive. Let that sink in for a second. Until you know what's costing your time and energy, you will always feel like hiring is too expensive. Now, when you use my time worth calculator, you're going to see in black and white that not delegating is really what's costing you. And I want you to stay tuned because I have a way that you can get that. It's going to be a gift to you, but you got to stay till the end. All right, step 2 is define the role. This is where so many people go wrong. I cannot tell you. They write vague things down, if they write anything down at all. I need someone to help me with the admin stuff. Okay, here's the thing, folks. Vague roles attract vague results. Just like in dating. If you don't know what you want, you're not going to find it. Instead, you need to connect the dots between the tasks you want to delegate and the bigger business goals. That way, your team member knows not just what to do, but why it matters. So we're going to do a little quick exercise. Fill in the blank here. If I hired a virtual assistant tomorrow, their number 1 job would be, it might be the thing you said before, but it might not be. Let's take a second to think about that. Drop it in the chat if you're bold. Ingrid says social media, Soul says complete reports, phone answering and quoting. Hire me, help. You'll help me hire the right direct care professionals for my group home. Yeah. Data entry. Oh, data entry is such a good one to delegate. I can't stand it. All the administrative functions. Okay, Winona, I'm going to encourage you to get more specific. I know you probably know what all administrative functions means, but I don't. If you know, make sure you're really clear as you write down your list. Making cold calls, editing videos, social media. Yeah. Any of you that use the word all, just make sure you know what that really means to you in your business, okay? Now, this is why I actually created a tool. It's called the Virtual VA or Virtual Assistant Success Blueprint. It gives you a simple structure to define the role clearly so you attract the right person from the start. It utilizes AI to help you get really clear, crystal clear, so clear that there's no question that could be asked. Well, not exactly, but close. certainly better than what I see out there. And it includes why it matters. Because if your person understands the context of how their role fits in, then even if they don't love something you delegate to them, they understand why it's important. They're more bought in. If you just say, hey, I need you to do some data entry, that's not very exciting. But data entry that's going to lead us to being able to find the right clients, to bring them on board, to serve them, to make money, and also to get more referrals. Okay, now that's more compelling. All right, let's jump into step 3. I want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions too. This is all about attracting the right people. And it's very important here that you hold on to the word right. Most folks think hiring is just posting a job on Indeed, and I don't know where else people are posting jobs, LinkedIn these days, Facebook maybe, and hoping for the best. I call that the post and pray method. And while I'm a big believer in prayer, I can tell you that this is not really a strategy. It almost always leads to frustration. You need a job post or advertisement that works like a filter. So the right people lean in and the wrong people weed themselves out. Again, like dating or like any other marketing you would do in your business. You don't want it to apply to everybody. If your ad seems to be for everyone, it really ends up being for no one. Too vanilla, or what I like to call dry white toast. No jam, no marmalade, no butter, no nothing. No thanks. So, quick question, where would you go first if you were looking for a virtual assistant? Drop it in the chat for me. Let me know what you think. Oh, there's a good question in the chat too. I will address here in just a second. So Teresa, just hang on. Whitney says, my peers. Yeah, that can work. LinkedIn for sure. Fiverr, good. Gigi, I've been a seller and a buyer on Fiverr since it started. They actually just sent me an anniversary message. ChatGPT recommendations. Yes, ChatGPT can help you to know where to post. Upwork, Fiverr, within my professional group, Facebook, Fiverr. Okay, yes, all of those can work. Most people say Upwork, Facebook, Fiverr, referrals, and those can work. But only if your posting is designed to attract the right candidates and repel the wrong ones. And I also want to just caution you when people say, well, I reach out to my peers and get referrals, you still need to do the same due diligence process. Just because someone was a great hire for, my friend Joanne doesn't mean that that person's going to be a great hire for me. And that's why I created pre-screening templates, things in the job ad that filter people out. We don't want you spending hours sorting through bad fits. My process does all the heavy lifting for you. People are going to opt out along the way, not just by not participating, but also in the quality of their participation in the process. You're going to see, because if you aren't on your best, I was going to mix metaphors. If you aren't on your best foot forward, if you're not putting your best foot forward in the hiring process, what's it going to be like when you actually work for me? Because we all know most people put their best foot forward in the hiring process, and then real life kicks in, right? If you can't even do what I need you to do during the hiring process, what makes me think you're going to do it when I am paying you money? I don't want to sound cynical, but after 1,000 plus, I stopped counting about 6 years ago, by the way. So it's probably more like 1,500, 1,600 people at this point. All right, let's jump into step number 4. You have to evaluate for fit. Now, this is where a whole lot of people trip up. With all this experience where people interview great, but then they can't actually do the job, right? If you've ever seen that, whether it was your hire or someone that was on your team or a peer, if you've ever seen that happen to you, go ahead and pop a yes into the chat. I want to see if I'm the only one that's ever experienced that. Okay. Okay, Monica, Marjorie, Tramise? Teresa, yeah, okay, good. So here's the shift. You can't hire based on how charming someone is in the interview. I don't care if it's a sales job and they need to be charming. You have to hire based on how they think and how they work. And this is where, if I'm really honest, my experience as a performer, as an actor, as a singer, has changed everything. Because in the performing arts industry, you audition. I need to see you do the thing before I hire you. It's a crying shame in businesses where they don't audition people before they come in. And I actually have a bonus training included in my Smart Start program on my audition method. Because especially with contractors or virtual assistants, you can include test tasks or some sort of mini project in your hiring process. Yes, you pay them for that, depending on how much it takes, how much it requires, to see if they can even follow directions, to see if they can even do the thing. And we need to be interviewing in a way that actually gets people to reveal themselves. So Teresa asked, how can you determine how much of what the candidate tells you is true versus what they think you want to hear so they can get the job? Once hired, they fail because they do not really know what they are doing. It's a sad cycle. Yeah, that sounds incredibly frustrating. So without knowing your actual interview process, Teresa, a couple things I would suggest if you're not doing it already, and of course, sharing this for everyone else. First of all, you let them reveal themselves first. You don't tell them about the job first. You wait until the end for that. You ask open-ended questions, and if they don't give you the answer you're looking for, you can ask another open-ended question, but you can't give them the answer. I can't tell you how many times I've had people video or record their interviews, and I go back and listen, and they're giving people the answer. They don't realize they're doing it, but they're giving them the answer that they're looking for. It's like, no wonder. And all of this, none of this is malicious, right? The candidate doesn't realize they're doing it either. You have to ask problem-solving questions, not just surface ones. I highly recommend you follow the test, task, or audition method. Give them something small but meaningful. See if they can actually do it. And yes, please check references. Skipping this step is where most hires sneak in. And don't just ask things like, how long did they work for you? And would you hire them again? If you can get real data, ask them real questions. And when you use the process that I teach in the Smart Start method, you stop guessing and you start seeing how someone will actually perform in your business. My test task process for virtual assistants, it's just 5 small things. It takes less than an hour, but I'll know whether they can do the job or not. And more importantly, I know if they're going to ask questions. I know if they're going to be resourceful and look for their own answers, or if they're going to come to me for every single little thing. Because there are some things they need to come to me for. But if they don't know how to do something in a computer program, there's a help file. There's chat, there's YouTube. I need you to be the kind of person that goes out and looks for solutions instead of coming to me for every little thing. Folks, I'm going to ask you to make sure you put your questions into the Q&A box so I don't miss anything. It's hard for me to keep up with the chat and also the Q&A and give you everything I promised you. So if you have a question, please pop it in the Q&A. All right, step 5. Now it's time to choose. By this point, you're not guessing. You have clarified what you need. You have a strong role description that has attracted the right people and weeded out the wrong folks, and you've evaluated people for fit. So now it's all about making a confident choice. And here's how you do it. We're gonna weigh data with our feelings. Use a simple scoring system to compare candidates objectively. 1 through 5 scale on a spreadsheet. It's your best guess based on what you've learned. But when you see that data and you go, okay, this candidate has way more points than this other one, then you're going to be able to know. Your gut intuition is likely to say, yep, they're the right person. Or your gut is going to say, no, they're not the right person. I missed I missed something that's not on the scoring sheet. I just can feel it's not right because they don't have X, Y, and Z. It's kind of like that game when I was a kid where I had a choice to make, two things, and I would flip a coin and I would assign each option to one side of the coin. And when, heads came up and I was disappointed, I knew it was really tails that I wanted, right? All right, so I'm going to address a couple questions here, and then I'm going to come back to step 5. So stick with me here. Latoya says, I'm sorry, Latanya, pardon me. I never considered a VA. How is it different than hiring a staffing agency outside of most likely being less expensive and costly? Oof, it's a lot less expensive. First of all, most staffing places want you to hire people for 20 hours or 40 hours a week, but you could hire a virtual assistant for literally one task every month, 5 hours, whatever. It could be flexible. Oh, Lois, in the future, could you not clear the question until I'm done answering it? That would really help me a lot.
Sounds good.
Thank you. So other things, first of all, staffing agency is likely, let me say it this way. I've been working online with remote folks and working remotely since 2005, before we even had webcams. I was teaching teleclasses. Some of you might remember that, those things. Virtual assistants are adept at working remotely. Staffing agencies might find people who are willing to work remotely but aren't as skilled at it. So that's one thing. You can also have access to the entire world of candidates, where staffing agency likely pulls people in from their geographic area. There's so many more things that there are benefits for around that, including hiring someone who has a specific skill set for a specific project. And where with a staffing agency, they typically want a more well-rounded job description to try to find someone. So we could talk about that more later. Latanya also asks, is the STAR situation, task, action, results still an effective method to get to the heart of fit for purpose when interviewing candidates? I mean, it is, if they have the answer to those questions. Usually STAR is how someone will reply to an interview question. Now you could say, okay, tell me about a time when, that gets to situation, and what did you do? And what was the result? But even then, if they don't have the answer to that, that doesn't necessarily mean they're not a good candidate. Remember, people are nervous too. They don't always have all the answers right in their fingertips. Some people are great interviewers, but they're lousy at doing the job because they're great at impromptu, and vice versa. Some people don't audition well, but they're good at the work. Pardon me. Maggie said in the chat, we've done working interviews. They perform well and get hired, but then they either quit after a day or two, don't show back up. Maggie, that's a completely different issue, and I would love to chat with you about that here at the end. I'm going to make sure everybody has my contact info. And that's something that would definitely help you out with. I've seen that happen in a lot of businesses, especially in retail, or where you're hiring, maybe a little bit more than minimum wage, entry level type of positions. So yeah, let me know. Okay. The other thing here is when you're choosing someone, you have to send a clear offer where there's no confusion. You have to be very clear about what you're looking for, what the compensation is, how they'll be compensated, when they'll be compensated. And then you got to start them out strong. You have to have a smooth onboarding process that builds trust and sets them up for success. That's more than we can get into today. But I want to make sure to point out that once you have the new person, that's when the new journey begins. You can't just throw them into the deep end of the pool and expect they're going to figure it out and that they'll come back. And I'm not saying that's what you've done, Maggie, at all. So let me pause here because this is important. If you do it right, hiring a virtual assistant is not about giving up control. It's about creating capacity. It's about creating space to think, space to do, space to breathe. And that right there is the gift you can give yourself when you have capacity or margin. And that's what this whole process is about, freeing you up to lead and grow instead of spinning your wheels and jumping from one thing to the next. And the next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock at night. You haven't even gotten up to pee in the last 3 hours. That's not okay, folks. As a singer, the importance of water is not lost on me. Sometimes I feel like my full-time job is getting up, filling up my 40-ounce mug and going to the bathroom, coming back to work. But that time away from my desk actually gives me a brain break that I need desperately, because that's when solutions come. If you can relate to any of that, would you just drop a me in the chat and let me know I'm not the only one that's alone there? Or more importantly, if you've ever had a day where you were busy all day, but you feel like you didn't actually accomplish anything, moving you forward towards your goals. Me. Okay, good. Yeah, losing focus, that's huge. And breaks really help with that. It seems counterintuitive. It took me a long time to actually believe it, but breaks actually help me focus. Yes, Michael, getting outside and having, first of all, different air to breathe, sunlight can really make a difference. All right, so I want you to imagine, we're going to do a little exercise together. Since I can't see you, you're safe to close your eyes for just a moment. So go ahead, close your eyes, really do it with me. I can't see you, so I don't know. No one's looking at you. I want you to imagine for a moment that you have 10 free hours back in your week. You spend that time with clients. You spend that time growing your business. You spend that time on an important project that's been sitting on the back burner. Or maybe even you just take Friday afternoon off. You're not stuck in the weeds anymore. You're leading, not just doing. Now take a nice big deep breath. Doesn't that feel lighter? Okay, you can open your eyes now. That picture you saw, my friends, that is not just a fantasy. That is exactly what happens when you stop doing it all yourself or stop doing more than is reasonable and you get the right support in place. Jonathan asks a very important question here. Jonathan, I want to commend you for this. Do you have any recommendations on how to manage a VA, or is that a topic for another day? Yeah, it's a whole nother topic on how to manage virtual assistants, really how to manage other people in general well, whether they work remotely or not. It's one of my most favorite things to do. And I'm going to encourage you to reach out to me when I put my email address into the chat later so that we can talk about it, because I'm glad to help. All right, here, my friends, is where the rubber meets the road. We got to bring this home with a simple action plan. First, I want you to think about the top 3 tasks you would delegate. Draft a rough role description, or if you already have one, go back through and ask yourself, where can I make this more clear about who we are as a culture, what we're looking for, what we don't want? Because if you have a large organization, or even if you have a small one and you're putting stuff out on like Indeed, for example, LinkedIn, you might get hundreds of applications. Who has time to go through all those? By the way, I don't actually go through all of those things. I have something set up in my process where my assistant replies and it begins the process. They have something they have to do to show that they actually are interested and didn't just go through and click a bunch of jobs. and it weeds out, I don't know, anywhere from 50 to 75% of the people who aren't really serious, because people do that spray and pray thing when applying for jobs too. And then the third thing I want you to do is truly decide that you're not going to keep carrying it all alone, and decide and believe that you deserve support and not stress. Now, if that feels like too many for you, just pick one. Just one thing you're committed to doing in the next 7 days to get clear and to move forward. If you're ready to pick your top 3 tasks, drop a number 1 in the chat. If you're going to draft your role description, drop a number 2 in the chat. And if you're simply ready to decide you deserve support and that it's possible for you, drop a 3. Okay, I see some 3s, I see some 2s, I see some 3s, good. Michael says 1, excellent, Michael. And that's right there, friends. That's your next smart step, and it's totally doable. For number 3, journal about it. Write down some affirmation type sentence. I love things like, I am strong, I'm capable, I can do anything that comes my way. I believe I deserve support. I believe that there are people on the planet who would love to work with me for the wage I'm going to provide. This is a big computer up here, friends, and it's going to believe whatever you tell it, good or bad. So feed it good programs, not viruses. All right, now I know that this is just the start. We could not possibly cover everything that comes along with hiring or managing, whether it be a virtual assistant or some other position in your company today. But I do have a gift for you to help you take forward what we talked about today into your business. And it is my quick start kit, my hire without headache quick start kit. I don't want this to just be another interesting talk that you walk away from and you forget about. My quick start kit has 3 of my favorite AI tools that I have personally developed with my intellectual property, my concepts, my experiences to help you take action right away. The first is a time worth calculator to show you what your time is really worth. When you see that number and what your time is worth to your business and what you could hire help for, it makes it a no-brainer. The second is a task delegation prioritizer. It's going to help you pick those top 3 tasks to hand off, help you get more clear about that so you know where you'd start with someone. And the VA Success Blueprint Generator to draft your first role description in just a few minutes. Totally free. It's my way of helping you take that first step without the headache. You can grab it now by scanning the QR code on the screen or by going to the link deanna.live/hire-kit, which I just popped into the chat as well. So go ahead, take a second to snap that with your phone, go to that link. You're very welcome, Terry Ann. I'm happy. Here's the thing. I heard a joke once. I'm actually going to share this with you, and hopefully it will, a joke, a parable, I don't know. But remember Xerox machines? Anybody remember Xerox machines? So there's an office and the Xerox machine breaks down. So they call the Xerox repair guy. And the guy comes in and he pulls open the door, he looks around and he says, it'll be $3,000. And they're like, $3,000? That's insane. That's we can't. And he was like, okay, no problem. You just give me a call when you're ready. So of course they have to have it. And back then, buying a new machine would have been more than that. It's a long time ago. I'm really dating myself here. So they call him back. He comes in, he opens the door. They agree to the price. He pushes a button, closes the door, and the machine works. And they're like, are you kidding me? All you did was push a button. And he said, think of it this way. It's $1 to push the button and $2,999 to know which button to push. When you know what to do, it's easy. When you have someone that's created the system or the process and walked through it before many times and taught it to others, it's easy. It's only when you don't know what to do that it's hard. I don't know how to run heavy equipment. My dad has backhoes and excavators and skid steers. I don't know how to do it. The idea of doing that baffles me, but he walks right into any piece of heavy equipment. He knows exactly what to do, and boom, it works. Why? Because he knows what to do. He also knows what to do when things don't go right, because there's, equipment breaks down, just like people have problems. If you know what to do, it's easy. And it doesn't have to be expensive either. All right, my friends, I want to leave you with something final, and then I'm going to be happy to take questions. I'm happy to take questions about your specific situation as well. But I want to leave you with this. You don't need to do it all. You don't need a giant team. You just need to take the next smart step today. Just do the next smart thing. Whether that's picking a few tasks to delegate and just getting comfortable with that idea and starting to think through, what would that person need to know? Of course, if you have my AI Delegator Pro software, you don't have to think through it because it writes the whole delegation for you. Whether it's drafting your first role description, grabbing the quick start kit, I promise you it will move you forward. And remember, you're not alone in this. I've been where you are. I was alone at home, sitting with my head in my hands, sobbing in the living room a little over 17 years ago. I've been where you are. And I know how powerful it is when you finally decide and you start carrying it all yourself. I'm putting my email address into the chat on top of the fact that it's already on the screen. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have a question. If you'd like the slides from today, I would be happy to share them with you as well. Plus, you never know, if you email me, you usually end up with a little extra goodie, because that's what Grandma Mayo did. Whenever we went over to Grandma's house, whether it was after church on Sunday or any other time, she'd always give my sister and I these little Ziploc baggies. And we walk around the house and she'd open up drawers and she'd find little treasures to give us. We called it goodie hunting. And I have carried on that tradition in my business. I always seem to have a little goodie of something, and a bonus, a little tip, a little trick, a little worksheet, a little something that I can support you with. And yes, LaTanya, grandmas are the best. I think about my grandma Mayo all the time. She was my biggest fan. She bought the first, she swore to me that I had, or she made me promise rather, that she had to be the first person to buy my book when it came out. Then she bought 20 more copies to give to people that she knew. Will you be hosting this webinar next month? You know what, Saul? I won't be for SCORE, but I could be if other people wanted to come back and see it. Why don't you email me and let me know, and maybe I could do it for you and some of your colleagues or friends or peers, or just another public one. I'd be glad to. And yes, paying it forward keeps me blessed. You know what? I'm just going to speak to that for a second. I just got a $24,000 credit on my taxes that I was not expecting. And I'm convinced it's because givers gain. I'm in the business planning phase. LaDonna says, I tried to do it alone and realized there's more that I don't know than I do know. Hey, you know what? That's not a problem though, LaDonna, because there are things that need to get done in your business. Maybe it's a one-time thing like a website design. You don't need to spend all that time and money to learn how to do it right. Find ways to find the capital, which you can find money in your business. You can stop paying for subscriptions you don't need. You can save up. You can get a client and you can put a portion of those funds aside to help pay for projects. There's a lot of different ways to fund your work. Matter of fact, I have a little goodie I could send you if you email me on ways to find the money to fund your hire. So if y'all are interested in that, email me and let me know. Do you have a VA site that is ideal to hire for that you recommend? Jennifer asks. A great question, Jennifer. My answer is yes and no. It doesn't matter whether it's a billboard or a VA site, Fiverr, Upwork, Indeed, Facebook posts, reaching out to your colleagues, putting it in a Facebook group. The places is not nearly as important as the quality of the advertisement. I know I say this, it's like dating, but I have a lot of friends who are out there dating. They're not clear on what they want. So what do they attract? What they don't want. And they don't know how to screen people well either. So they end up wasting time on a hire for way too long. And they realize that person isn't who they want. Right? Marie says, may God bless you more for your good heart again. Thank you. Thank you. And I know he will. Latanya, if you want this webinar again, please email me. I'd be happy to put something together for folks who want to bring, come back. We can dig deeper. We can go into the next step of the process. Like, let me know what you want. I'll do it. And Marie says, yes, I am. Please, my big problem now. Yeah, I get it. I've been there. Do you know how many nights I cried? That was my stress relieving mechanism. A lot. And I even hired interns for free. I have a whole system on how to do that too. My Get Free Help with Intern system. It was incredible because I get to give people experience that they never would have gotten otherwise. It was mutually beneficial, legally sound. And that's actually how I started, was with free interns. And I was working from home. I didn't even have an office. You don't need to have all that. You don't have to be a big fancy company to have help. You can literally hire people for $5 an hour, and that is a good wage for where they live in the world and what their expenses are. People who speak English clearly, who know how to communicate with you, who know how to problem solve for you, who are there to say, I can do this, Deanna. You don't have to handle it. Well, they wouldn't say Deanna to you, but. All right, I don't see any more questions. I know Lois has a little something to wrap us up with, so I'm going to bring her back